Stalin's Soviet Union. So the Marxism matters. We've resisted this. We know how important it is. Then we'll be okay in America so long as we call this out and don't get taken in by these ideologies. And it requires people who are not just historians like you and I both, but people who've had personal experience with these people stepping up and talking about it so America doesn't ever go that far down that road.
Will you explain, because for me, even despite my family history, a seminal moment, in addition to reading everything you've written, was reading Andrew Breitbart's autobiography, Righteous Indignation, where he speaks of the moment where he woke up as a unthinking liberal at Tulane University when he saw what happened to Clarence Thomas, and he said, well, this is wrong. This is Marxism of another flavor. This is the destruction of somebody simply because he dares to be a black conservative. Explain for our listeners, our millions of viewers and listeners across the nation, what the long march through the institutions is and what we are witnessing today as a product of that.
Yeah, so that's a phrase attributed to Antonio Gramsci, who's one of the leading proponents of applying Marxism to culture, right? So what you would call cultural Marxism. Although if you look it up, now a nasty little box pops up on Google referring as something like white nationalist or white supremacist or anti-Semitic conspiracy theory or something like that. I wrote 2 articles on it for American Spectator, just on this idea of cultural Marxism and conspiracy. But in fact, if you this is going too deep into the weeds, but I have screenshots of Wikipedia dating back 15 years ago that define cultural Marxism correctly.
which have now been memory hold in Orwellian tradition.
It's amazing, and by the way, there are a lot of left-wing Marxist scholars, right, who are seeing that now and going, "Oh no, man, I'm gonna be in big trouble. I'm not an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. What is this? I've been writing for cultural Marxism for 30 or 40 years. It's now an anti-Semitic conspiracy, according to who? Right? Some faceless 19-year-old that types this stuff up for Google. It's insane." But it's been around.
What is the philosophy of the Adorno-esque Marcuse, Gramsci? What is the long march through institutions when they realize that violent revolution in countries with robust middle classes wouldn't happen? What was their response, Paul?
Well, and that's the Frankfurt School. So let me differentiate between Antonio Gramsci, who, by the way, was not Jewish, as far as I know. I don't look up who's a Jew and who isn't a Jew, right? I don't even think like that. But Antonio Gramsci was Italian. He was thrown into prison by Mussolini, died in prison in the 1930s, and he applied Marxism to culture. That phrase, long march through the institutions, by the way, Seb, the definitive work on that was by a Notre Dame professor named Joseph Buttigieg.
Who is the father?
Buttigieg of Mayor Pete. And it's 2-volume set published by Columbia University Press of Antonio Gramsci's prison notebooks, and he acknowledges Pete in there for Pete's help in the book with the index in particular. So Pete knows this stuff, right? And if you go to the website of the International Gramsci Society, which was founded by Joseph Buttigieg, to this day, and maybe I haven't checked that in the last few weeks, but the lead page is a tribute, in memoriam, to Joseph Buttigieg, who died, I think, at the start of 2019 or 2018. So he's the leading scholar on that. Then there's the Frankfurt School, which developed out of Frankfurt, Germany, 1920s, 1930s.
We will discuss, because it deserves its own segment, we will discuss the Frankfurt School momentarily. But did you just get that? Did you get that peek behind the curtain, my friends? The biggest historian of the most important cultural Marxist figure is the father, the late father, of the current cabinet member of the Biden administration, Mayor Buttigieg. So much more to discuss with the author of The Devil and Karl